When you think of the biggest scandals in sports history, what comes to mind? Performance-enhancing drugs? Massive financial bribes? Or maybe illegal spying? Those are the classics, sure. But in 2015, the most powerful sports league in America was brought to its knees by something much, much simpler. Air. Or, more specifically, the mysterious absence of it. Welcome to the most ridiculous, obsessive, and expensive investigation in NFL history. At the center of it all was the golden boy of American football himself, Tom Brady, and a controversy that would forever be known by a truly stupid name. Deflategate. Yes, they added gate to the word deflate. Because apparently, slightly squishy footballs are a threat to national security. Let's rewind to the AFC Championship game in January 2015. The New England Patriots were hosting the Indianapolis Colts for a ticket to the Super Bowl. It was a miserable, cold, and rainy night in Massachusetts. The kind of weather that makes a rock-hard football feel like a slippery bar of soap. In conditions like this, a quarterback's grip is everything. And a football that is just a little bit softer, well, that is significantly easier to throw. The Patriots absolutely demolished the Colts, 45-7. But the final score wasn't what the Colts were complaining about after the game. During the game, a Colts player intercepted a pass and noticed something weird. The football felt wrong. He complained to the officials. At halftime, the referees tested the air pressure of the Patriots' footballs. And this is where the drama officially ignited. NFL rules clearly state that game balls must be inflated to between 12.5 and 13.5 pounds per square inch, or PSI. 11 of the 12 Patriots footballs were found to be under the minimum limit. The question immediately became, was this natural deflation or sabotage? The media frenzy was instant and absolute. For months, you couldn't turn on a TV in America without hearing sports analysts debating the ideal firmness of a ball. But to figure out if Tom Brady was a mastermind cheater or just a victim of cold weather physics, we have to look at the science. To understand the mystery of the missing air, we have to go back to high school physics and look at the ideal gas law. Simply put, when the temperature drops, air contracts, and the pressure inside a closed object, like a football, naturally decreases. Scientists pointed out that moving a football from a warm locker room to a freezing field would cause it to lose between 1.14 and 1.89 psi entirely on its own. Case closed, right? Physics explains everything. Well, the NFL didn't want a physics lesson. They wanted a villain. So, the league hired an independent investigator named Ted Wells to get to the bottom of the great football deflation conspiracy. After months of work, Wells released a massive 243-page document that would become known as the Wells Report. This investigation into slightly underinflated footballs reportedly cost the NFL several $1 million. Priorities, right? The report zeroed in on two Patriots equipment staffers. These were the guys responsible for handling the footballs before the game. And the smoking gun? Text messages between the two. In one message, a staffer literally referred to himself as the Deflator. The Patriots actually tried to argue that the Deflator was a nickname about weight loss. Yes, really, because that's totally believable. But the NFL didn't just want to punish two random locker room guys. The report concluded it was more probable than not that Tom Brady knew about it. Brady, naturally, denied everything. He claimed he had no idea what the equipment staff did with the footballs after he chose them. To prove his innocence, the NFL asked Brady to hand over his personal cell phone to check for any incriminating texts. So, what did he do? He destroyed it. He told the league he had a habit of destroying his old phones to protect his privacy, which, to the NFL, looked extremely guilty. With a destroyed phone, a massive investigative report, and public outrage at a boiling point, the NFL commissioner was ready to drop the hammer of justice. In May 2015, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell announced the league's disciplinary action, and he did not hold back. Tom Brady was hit with a massive 4-game suspension without pay for conduct detrimental to the integrity of the league. But the league wasn't done. The New England Patriots organization was slapped with a record-breaking $1 million fine. They were also stripped of 2 draft picks, including a highly valuable first-round pick in the 2016 NFL Draft. As expected, Patriots fans completely lost their minds, defending their star quarterback and claiming it was a massive witch hunt. Meanwhile, fans of literally every other NFL team were absolutely loving it, calling the Patriots a bunch of proven cheaters. Brady, refusing to accept the suspension, immediately filed an appeal. But under the NFL's rules, who gets to hear the appeal? That's right, Commissioner Roger Goodell himself. The guy who issued the punishment was also the arbitrator for the appeal. Incredible system. Unsurprisingly, Goodell upheld his own decision. So, Brady and the Players Association took the case to a real, actual federal court in New York. In September, a federal judge named Richard Berman shocked the sports world by completely overturning Brady's 4-game suspension. The judge ruled the NFL's process was fundamentally unfair. Brady was free to play the entire 2015 season, much to the anger of the league. But the NFL is a multi-billion-dollar corporate machine. They refused to lose. They immediately appealed the judge's decision to a higher court. In April 2016, the Second Circuit Court of Appeals ruled in favor of the NFL, stating the commissioner did in fact have the power to suspend him. By this point, both sides had spent millions of dollars on high-priced lawyers, arguing all the way to federal court over the pressure of a leather ball. Finally, in July 2016, after 18 months of exhausting legal drama, Brady announced he would stop fighting and accept the suspension. So, Tom Brady served his 4-game suspension at the start of the 2016 season. He watched his team from the couch. The Patriots managed to survive without him, going 3-1 with their backup quarterbacks. But then came Week 5. Brady returned to the field, and he didn't just play well. He played like a man possessed by pure, unadulterated vengeance. The media quickly dubbed it the Revenge Tour, and Brady was throwing footballs so hard you wouldn't dare check the air pressure. He tore through the league, throwing 28 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions in just 12 games. He was unstoppable. This path of absolute destruction led the Patriots straight to Super Bowl 51 in Houston, Texas. Waiting for them were the Atlanta Falcons, who boasted one of the most explosive and high-scoring offenses in NFL history. For 3 quarters, the Falcons completely dominated. The scoreboard read Atlanta 28, New England 3. It was an embarrassing blowout. Patriots fans were turning off their TVs. The haters were popping champagne. It seemed like the grand revenge tour was completely dead. But then, Tom Brady did what Tom Brady does. Down 25 points, he engineered the greatest comeback in the history of the sport. In overtime, the Patriots won 34-28. It was a miracle on turf, sealing his legacy as the absolute greatest of all time. But the best part for Patriots fans wasn't just the historic win. It was what had to happen immediately after the game, on the presentation podium. The chorus of boos from the New England fans was deafening, but Brady just smiled, holding his 5th championship high in the air. It was the ultimate poetic justice. Deflategate started as a ridiculous scandal, but it ended as the fuel for an unstoppable football dynasty. So, the revenge tour was complete, and he had the last laugh. But what actually changed after all this multi-million-dollar drama? For starters, the NFL completely overhauled their football handling protocols. Gone were the days of teams preparing their own game balls in private. Today, NFL footballs are guarded with the kind of high-level security you would normally expect for nuclear launch codes. But what about the science? After the scandal, the NFL announced they would conduct random PSI spot checks during games to collect data. However, a funny thing happened. After collecting this data for an entire season, the NFL quietly decided to never release the results to the public. Most experts agree on why. The data almost certainly proved that footballs naturally deflate in cold weather, just like the ideal gas law predicted. In a weird twist, Deflategate actually had a massively positive impact on the American education system. For months, science teachers across the country finally had a real-world, highly publicized example to make physics interesting to their students. The word Deflategate even cemented its place in pop culture, proving that if you add gate to any word, Americans will obsess over it. And what about the man at the center of the storm? Did the cheater label actually ruin Tom Brady's legacy? Not even close. After serving his suspension for the deflated balls, Brady went on to win 3 more Super Bowl championships before finally retiring. The haters kept throwing the cheater label at him, but with a resume that legendary, the dirt simply couldn't stick. In the end, Deflategate revealed much less about Tom Brady and much more about the massive, outrage-driven sports media machine. It proved that a minor equipment violation, mixed with a little bit of cold weather physics, could be weaponized into a national crisis. Which brings us to a much bigger question. Where is the line between clever gamesmanship and actual cheating in professional sports? Every sport has its gray areas. Professional athletes will always push the absolute boundaries of the rulebook to gain a competitive edge. In baseball, pitchers have used sticky pine tar and foreign substances for decades to get a better, tighter grip on the ball. In basketball and soccer, players routinely fake injuries or aggressively exaggerate contact to manipulate the referees into calling a foul. It's annoying, sure, but sports fans and media usually just roll their eyes, call it gamesmanship, and move on with their lives. Then there is actual, undeniable cheating, the kind that completely breaks the competitive integrity of the game. Things like using hidden center field cameras to steal signs, or pumping your veins full of illegal performance-enhancing chemicals. Compared to those massive scandals, a quarterback potentially taking a tiny bit of air out of a football seems incredibly tame. So why did Deflategate dominate the national news cycle and the court system for almost 2 straight years? The answer is actually quite simple. It was never really about the air pressure. It was about the New England Patriots. When a single franchise dominates a sport for 2 decades, winning championship after championship with terrifying efficiency, the rest of the country develops a deep psychological need to see them fail. It's human nature to hate the undisputed king. People were desperate for a reason, any reason at all, to prove that the Patriots' success wasn't entirely legitimate. Deflategate gave them the perfect excuse. It transformed Tom Brady from a golden boy into the ultimate villain for the NFL script. And the league commissioner? He understood that publicly punishing the bad guys wasn't just about the rules. It was great for business. Because at the end of the day, sports is entertainment. And nothing drives television ratings and media engagement quite like a massive, polarizing scandal. Fast forward 50 years into the future. How will sports historians ultimately remember the great and ridiculous Deflategate scandal? Will they remember the exact pounds per square inch of a football during a rainy January game in Massachusetts? Probably not. Future fans reading the Wikipedia page will probably just be incredibly confused as to why everyone was so angry about air. Because the ultimate irony of this entire saga is that Tom Brady's on-field performance never actually relied on soft footballs in the first place. In fact, the data completely proves it. After the NFL started strictly monitoring the air pressure in every single game, Brady's statistics actually went up. He threw for more yards and more touchdowns with strictly regulated, perfectly inflated footballs. But Brady had one final devastating card to play to silence the remaining doubters who claimed his success was all just because of the Patriots system. In 2020, he shocked the world by packing his bags, leaving New England, and moving down south to Florida. He joined the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and in his very first season, at age 43, he won another Super Bowl. That final championship was the nail in the coffin. It completely obliterated any lingering argument that his success was ever due to cheating. Deflategate, as a legitimate sports scandal, was officially dead and buried, leaving behind only internet memes and a ridiculously expensive legal bill. So, as we finally wrap up this absurd chapter of sports history, what are the ultimate takeaways from the saga of the deflated footballs? Lesson number 1. You cannot beat the laws of physics, especially when it's freezing cold outside in New England. Lesson number 2. If your boss asks for your personal cell phone during an investigation, maybe don't smash it to pieces with a hammer. And lesson number 3, perhaps the most important of all, never, ever give Tom Brady a reason to seek revenge. It won't end well for you. Ultimately, the saga of Deflategate is a hilarious testament to how incredibly seriously we take professional sports in this country. When you step back and think about it, it is just a game played by grown men chasing a strangely shaped leather ball around a grassy field. Yet we treat it with the same level of investigative intensity and outrage as high-level international espionage or a political cover-up. But honestly, that is exactly why we love it. We crave the drama, the insane narratives, the heroes and the villains. Tom Brady played his part perfectly, solidifying his status as the undisputed GOAT while soaking in the hatred of millions. And the NFL? They got exactly what they wanted all along. Our money, our tweets, and our undivided attention. So the next time you go out to the park to throw a football around with your friends in the freezing cold, you better make absolutely sure you bring a certified pressure gauge and check it twice. Because you never know when Roger Goodell might be hiding in the bushes, ready to take your draft picks away. What did you think of the Deflategate scandal? Was it the greatest heist in sports history, or just basic science in the cold? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I read every single one of them. And if you enjoyed this animated deep dive into sports absurdity, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more animated explanations of the world's craziest news stories every week. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, stay curious.